Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Breakdown with Brenmar. FALCONS AP BREN versus TNC Pro Team from Week 5, Day 2 of MPL Philippines Season 14. It's the iconic Minions are the MVP end, and we're gonna start off with that. So, in this scenario, actually, it's tough. It's a very tough call for TNC Pro Team. Because number one, it's do we send heads or make sure heads clears this minion wave? Because number two, we've already committed a conceal play to number three, contest a lord that they need to contest. They can't just let this lord go without any contention. As much as possible, they need to contest it and force something good for themselves. If they play with hesitation, don't do anything here. Not gonna end well for TNC Pro Team, considering that they have 3 waves crashing in, or at least 2 waves from the side crashing in with no tower to deal with, and only 1 there. So TNC commits the play. Kaizen will split push, try to go for a miraculous segue, and at the same time contest around the Lord, see if you can stop FALCONS AP BREN from going home. From a team fighting perspective, Heads really needed to let go of this minion wave so that he can join in the fight. From a big picture perspective, and it's tough to fault TNC Pro Team for this because again, they needed to contest this, they really should have just cleared that minion wave. Or if they didn't clear it, we'll play out the sequence, let them fight out, considering that FALCONS AP BREN did get the Lord without a problem. They're just doing this so that Kaizen can split push. But after that Lord was taken down, anyone from TNC should have already gone back to clear the minion waves. Unfortunately, it just seems like the call was for TNC to, fight, to just contest the Lord. At the end, because of that call, as we all know, they will lose the game. They'd get the kill onto Ogwen, Kozen would get a godlike, but the minion waves will end the game. But how did we get to this point? How did it get so bad for TNC Pro Team when they won a good amount of the early game and even tested FALCONS AP BREN at one point, looking like they were gonna win this game number 1. We start from the end, but now we go all the way to the beginning. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you. We've hit 1,000 subscribers, and for someone who's been inconsistent with YouTube for a majority of his career, only deciding to pick it up yet again, just sharing good analysis with you, our MLBB community, I am so grateful. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share this video if you like it, comment. I love the comments that you guys are dishing out, and click that bell icon so you get notified when I have a new video up. Let's get back to the episode. So TNC's success in the early game would really begin within the first minute when they picked off you here. So if you are FALCONS AP BREN, you know that Kaizen most likely is in this side of the jungle. Even though you don't really see him, you can see Escalera here. You don't see Lancy here, so good chance Lancy is hovering around here. You know most likely that there are 3 members of TNC Pro Team. To add to that, in the first minion wave that started off this, FALCONS AP BREN, Ogwen and Few got to see Lancy and Escalera hovering around here. Their positioning says that Kaizen is here. Which is why, to me, Few really shouldn't have committed these 2 dashes that he's gonna be using to get that damage onto the Litho Wanderer, because that would leave him susceptible to just getting picked off and chased. He is forced to use the Purify here to try and get away, but at that point, way too much crowd control and combo. Kaizen is level 3. TNC would get the first blood. And to continue that, Kaizen would invade, get the Scaled Lizard, and alongside Heads, pressure Flap TZ, something that they did a lot during this laning phase, which was to take down the Phoveus, because they know that the Phoveus will be their major headache come the team fights. And as we go on, we'll actually get to see more of that happen. So once again, you're gonna see another gank from Kaizen onto the top side on FlapTZ's Phoveus. Now, this would inadvertently lead to a pick-off for Falcons AP Bren, but this just again continues the theme of what we were talking about. The TNC Pro team knew that they needed to shut down this Phoveus, get heads out of lane quickly so that their Terizla can join more and be more active in the map. The more you shut down the Phoveus, the higher the chance that the Phoveus wouldn't be that much of a problem. However, that's the thing about Phoveus. Dude is OP AF. That's why he's getting heavily contested right now, even prioritized as one of the first picks in the draft. More often than not, he's showing up in the first phase of drafting, and that happened a lot in week number 5. TNC Pro team, after committing that play, you see Ogwen and Few going up top. Ogwen gets the info. That's 2 members of TNC up top. So, Ogwen, interesting call, but the right call. The moment he sees Lancey, he just decides to Avatar Guardian onto him. They know that the Flicker isn't a backup yet. Most likely, what they only know is that Escalera is somewhere around the center of the map. Maybe you see Lancey, but Ogwen made the call to just go ahead and dive him, and they'll be able to get Lancey down with great pokes by Kyle TZ. Also, good response, and that's a favorable trade. That is the roamer, your roamer, for the opposing mid laner. And it forces TNC back just a little bit. They lose their mid laner. It's a little bit of an advantage for them for the third turtle. Second turtle. Because of the sequence that happened at the center of the map led by Ogwen, Falcons AP Bren gets the second turtle of the game without a problem. But watch what TNC does here. Instead of defaulting back to their map managing or late managing positions, they decide to, as 4, invade the jungle of Falcons AP Bren, continuing the pressure onto the Roger. They did this because they knew that Kyle TZ is most likely in his orange buff. They just got the turtle. The rotational reading of TNC Pro team, if you're the opposing jungler, you would know, okay, orange buff will be up. And that's where they're going to be going after the turtle gets taken down by them. So let's go ahead in pressuring them. They get a good start, but it's a great counter engage by Falcons AP Bren, especially that Avatar of Guardian positioning by Ogwen. And as we continue it, it's just a good showcase as to why Phoveus is so OP in this meta. Imagine FlapTZ is 1-3-1 heading into this sequence. And yet, somehow, he still proves to be even more annoying than the Phoveus. Heads, the gap between him and Heads is half an EXP bar. It's not even much. That's just a great recovery by FlapTZ. And now a warning shot by TNC Pro team, yet despite them getting the early kills onto that Phoveus is a problem. Now, as you see in the sequence here, TNC Pro team have parked themselves already around the third turtle of the game. That's 3 members, gonna become 4 as Kozen is gonna be joining in. Falcons AP Bren knows that Kaizen was at the bottom lane, clearing the minion waves. So that's 4 members of TNC probably around here or on their side of the river, most likely. So Ogwen will go ahead and try to get vision, see if that they can go into the turtle, but little do they know, TNC is already there. So Falcons AP Bren has the information, and as we mentioned earlier, the Phoveus is a problem for TNC Pro team. That's why they want to blast this Phoveus down right away really quickly. And as we mentioned, despite them doing all of that to try and bring FlapTZ down, they still took into account the Avatar of Guardian of Ogwen. So you know TNC are really operating in a good wavelength here right now. They're gonna continue the head fight, and Heads will surprisingly re-engage, but it's the right call. Even though Kyle TZ sends back Escalera, that is a Phoveus that you're dealing with. You already saw the ultimate of the Vexana used by Few, so you're not gonna get knocked up, you're not gonna get crowd control. Entropy was already used as well. There's no Avatar of Guardian for the Gatot Kacha. You have your mid laner there. It was a great call by Heads to do what he can to set Lancey up for the situation where Lancey would be able to get the kill onto Ogwen, meaning the TNC Pro team have a man advantage. But the problem with this is that even though TNC Pro team have the man advantage, look at their health. Kaizen and Heads are not healthy at all. FlapTZ isn't there, yes, but this 3 will deal enough damage to mess up these 3. Considering that Lancey's ultimate is gone, Kaizen's ultimate's on cooldown, there is no penalty zone, Kozen is here, yes. However, the 3 of them will be able to do enough to mess these 4 up. And most importantly, you can just trade pokes, and if ever, Falcons AP Bren are in a good position to be able to contest the turtle. So that's exactly what they do. They go ahead and contest. Kaizen puts himself in a position that which is very risky, not respecting the entry that Super Marco can do, which he does. And as you can see, it happened in a very quick moment, but he was able to get a stun onto Lancey and Kaizen, helping Kyle TZ finish off Kaizen, and Falcons AP Bren will be able to get the 3rd turtle of the game. This would lead to a double kill for Kyle TZ and lead to a signature of Falcons AP Bren, wherein after a major win in the 3rd objective of the game, or excuse me, the 3rd turtle of the game, they're gonna see and try everything they can to break down mid, because that is a power spike timer. After the 3rd turtle, don't just go back and default. If the map is set up well, the minion waves were set up prior, if you timed your team fight at the right time, after the 3rd objective, you can push down the middle lane tower if it isn't broken up yet, and that would also lead you to a potential invade into the opposing jungle, which is exactly what Falcons AP Bren does. They get more kills, and just in a snap, based off of a signature Falcons AP Bren sequence after the 3rd turtle of the game, they get the lead away from TNC Pro Team. But this is something that a lot of us commended TNC Pro Team for doing. They didn't play defensive, they still played offensive. Despite a 3.5k gold lead by Falcons AP Bren, they know they are still within a distance of being able to turn the game around if they can just get a good sequence. So for the first lord of the game, TNC Pro Team decided to commit 5 members, and heads cleared the minion wave in the bottom lane prior, which is why Kyle TZ is here, and which is why TNC Pro Team can commit 5 guys into the brush. As we look at the sequence play out, Ogwen is going to get blasted and get taken out first. Man advantage for TNC Pro Team, but it was an expensive and costly one because they used a lot of their ultimates. But with ultimates up and them using a lot, that means they have time to push forward somewhat, a little bit, and rush down the Lord. The interesting thing here is that Kaizen will get crowd controlled actually just in time by few with the Vexana ultimate, and in any other universe there was a really good chance that Falcons AP Bren could have taken that Lord away. See, with Kaizen stuck there, wasn't even able to retribution. But Kozen miraculously was able to get the last hit into the Lord, and TNC Pro Team would be able to back off. Watch what Super Marco and Kyle TZ do here. Instead of just following the path of where the other members of Falcons AP Bren are, they veer off to the side so that they can cut off the exit of TNC Pro Team. That's a great call by Kyle TZ and Super Marco. And Super Marco even does it in a way where he'll commit the entropy to enter. Kyle TZ goes in, gets Kaizen, heads, actually good penalty zone to try and delay and try to alleviate the damage somewhat. However, Falcons AP Bren continue it, but they continue too much. Escalera gets the pull onto Kyle TZ, and Flap TZ gets taken down as well as he wanted to help Kyle. Lancey committed the flicker so that he can get the deathly grasp forward, the deathly grasp forward, and because of that, TNC Pro Team were able to minimize the losses. And even though they lost 2 members, they got 2 key members in Kyle TZ and Flap TZ, meaning that their Lord can push out, and that would lead to TNC Pro Team with their assertiveness being able to finally get the tower in the mid lane. Assertive and confident map movement and team fight forcing by TNC Pro Team to gain control of the map, leading them to be free later on for the second Lord. And a lot of this just stemmed from what TNC Pro Team did here. After their members respawn, they decide to all just go down to mid. They know they needed to get that mid tower down, and they will, with their Lord pushing up top. Just like that, TNC Pro Team were able to regain and equalize the map control. Another example of this assertiveness by TNC Pro Team is this sequence right here. If you're Falcons AP Bren, you would not expect TNC Pro Team to already be here and be this aggressive with facing forward. However, Falcons AP Bren had a feeling. Few was about to go in here and join Flap TZ, but he decided to go back and park himself in the shrub. Kyle TZ is at a safe distance. Ogwen is in a safe distance. So, the TNC Pro Team sees Flap and again, respecting the Phobius, blast him. Great avatar of Guardian by Ogwen, but Heads will get a great penalty zone in return, knocking up 3, setting up TNC Pro Team to finally take down that Phobius. And that's only the Phobius that they're able to take down. You have to appreciate Falcons AP Bren for backing up just a little bit so that TNC Pro Team wouldn't get a definitive win. Because of what they did in the bottom lane with the Flap TZ brought low, with the minion waves getting pushed out, because TNC Pro Team were handling the minion waves well, they would be able to get the second Lord of the game without a problem here. So you can see, they get it. Cal TZ, a bit too far. They're even able to blast down Ogwen, and TNC Pro Team have regained the map. The next 8 minutes were just great back and forth Mobile Legends bang bang. I'm sure by now you picked up the main ingredient of TNC Pro Team's success so far in this game, the assertiveness in rotations and the lack of hesitation in committing plays. For the next 8 minutes, TNC would force skirmishes, get pick-offs, fight well even though Falcons AP Bren got the third Lord, and make sure they don't get much of it because TNC chased them down and stopped the Lord from advancing. All the while, they were taking good care of their map and positioning in objectives until the third Lord dance of the game, where everything crumbled as they were slipping in their map management. At around 21 minutes into the game, you can already see that TNC are pressured, but they're still relatively healthy. They have towers up, but their minion waves in the bottom and in the mid are getting crashed down upon. While they have their own minion wave up top, that's going to be the thing that they're going to be leveraging the most. TNC Pro Team, in their idea of, hey, let's just be aggressive and commit plays that would surprise them, you have to sacrifice something. And in here, they sacrificed minion waves. And again, nature of MOBA games, can't get everything. At some point, you will have to sacrifice something. A tower or 2, minion wave management, so that you can get a win in another part of the map. And it is surprising that TNC Pro Team, though not terrible, will commit a play here. With Escalera and Lancy concealed, they're looking to get pickoffs in this part of the map. Heads is in the back supporting Kaizen. They want this Lord. So they commit the play despite the minion waves crashing down on them. Flap TZ's immortality will get popped. Unfortunate that the Eternal Guard was popped right away. Instead of waiting for Flap TZ's immortality, they tried to burst him down right away. I wish Lancy conserved that Eternal Guard so that would drop down the moment Flap TZ respawned or got back up from that immortality pop. TNC Pro Team's minion waves will get lost. They will lose positioning in the center here because Super Marco and Few will hold it, and watch what Few does. Absolute genius. Not knowing who else is in this part of the shrub, TNC are playing back. However, with Flap TZ gone, and the fact that you see Super Marco already here, what they do is that they finally get into good position and they hold this shrub. What Few does is that he loops around to here. From here to here to this shrub here. But he doesn't go into that shrub right away. He waits. He waits for the perfect time because he knows, most likely, that if Kaizen decides to poke this, that's a good way to check if anyone is in this shrub. You damage the Crammer from afar to see if it goes here. If it goes there, that means someone's in that shrub, you're gonna back off. So, false sense of security provided by Few. The moment that Crammer goes down, Few gets into position, and TNC Pro Team have no idea what's about to happen to them. Great veteran movements by Falcons AP Bren. As TNC's minion waves will get pressured again, the bottom lane tower will get lost. It would have been a good trade. TNC Pro Team could have gotten the Lord, but they couldn't because Few, in the spot that Kaizen checked earlier, would start off the call to tell Ogwen, let's blast this guy down. The jungler is gone. TNC Pro Team will just try to get something. Get a small win. Get one down equalize. You can't just let Falcons AP Bren get this Lord without us trying something. But Falcons AP Bren gets the counter. The Phoveus that was pressured with a 1-3-1 start is now a 2-5-10 and it's difficult to take down. TNC Pro Team will lose that tower in the mid, leading to the sequence that started this episode off. The split push win by the minions of Falcons AP Bren. And that's it for this episode of Breakdown with Renmar. I chose to highlight this game because I felt like there was really a lot to learn from these two teams in terms of overall macro map rotation as a team, map management, minion wave management, counting of abilities, and generally I feel like this is a good fundamental game of Mobile Legends Bang Bang that is a harsh reminder that if your fundamentals slip and you forget one very important thing, well, something bad happens to the team, and how punishing MPL Philippines can be. Hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.